Welcome back to Dead Reckoning, the Human Life Expectancy channel. This is the fourth of 4 videos on traditional technologies that could impact human life expectancy going forward, and we'll look at transportation technologies. We'll focus on 2 new transportation technologies that could materially impact human life expectancy: autonomous vehicles and medical drones. Let's start with autonomous vehicles. Traveling by ground is dangerous. In 2019, 2.3% of deaths, approximately 1.4 million deaths, were due to road traffic crashes. More than half of those killed were pedestrians, motorcyclists, and cyclists. This is about 17 times the number of people that die from war, terrorism, and collective violence, and over 2.7 times the number of people that die from interpersonal violence. The good news is that this is much better than it used to be. Before seatbelts, airbags, crumple zones, and countless other improvements were made, death rates from automobiles were over 3 times higher. As with vaccines, pasteurization, and antibiotics, see our How Did We Double Human Life Expectancy video, it took decades for people to appreciate the level of carnage, understand that they could do something about it, and overcome popular sentiment and vested interest to realize the change. The bad news is that the overall trend is increasing from 2.1% of global deaths in 2000 to 2.3% of global deaths in 2019. Increased vehicle miles traveled, especially as wealth increases and more of the global population drives, could well cause this trend to continue. The majority of these deaths are due to human error. One study found that human error accounts for anywhere between 94 to 96% of all auto accidents. And men die at 3 times the rate of women. This opens up the opportunity to reduce auto accident mortality by either changing our behaviors or eliminating human errors from the driving process. On the behavior side, increasing ticketing for speeding, limiting drunk driving, which is involved in about 1/3 of all traffic deaths, and encouraging motorcyclists to wear helmets can all help. However, autonomous cars are now poised to dramatically reduce all human causes of accidents, potentially increasing human life expectancy. Computers never get drunk, get distracted by texts, fall asleep, get angry, or irrational. The U.S. Department of Transportation researchers estimate that self-driving cars could reduce traffic fatalities by up to 94%. The main issue with autonomous vehicles is their adoption. To that end, large-scale public trials of autonomous vehicles are taking place around the world. These trials both provide more data that will be used to refine driverless technologies and clearly demonstrate the lives that can be saved. As people become aware that 1.3 million lives could potentially be saved each year, allowing people to drive non-autonomous cars may become to be seen as unnecessarily risky. We suspect that the clear evidence that millions of lives could be saved every year will motivate cities, states, and countries to accelerate adoption. An examination of top car makers' public statements and investments makes it clear that most car companies are betting on autonomous vehicles. A study by BCG's research group predicts that by the year 2035, 12 million fully autonomous vehicles and 18 million partially autonomous vehicles will be sold globally each year, representing 25% of the new car market. There's reason to believe that it might happen more quickly in certain sectors. Driverless technology is well suited to the controlled environment of highway driving. The lack of pedestrians, stoplights, and crosswalks greatly reduces the complexity of algorithms necessary to safely travel on highways. Accordingly, autonomous vehicles and their technologies that precede them, such as cruise control and lane-changing sensors, are commonly applied first on highways. As an example, in September 2021, FedEx announced that it will begin testing a fleet of self-driving trucks on the highways. Cities might also adopt driverless car technologies. City travel represents over 2/3 of vehicle miles traveled in the U.S. and about 60% of traffic fatalities. Short trips are also less constrained by battery range limits and the need to recharge. It's also easier to regulate and mandate the use of autonomous cars in cities. Autonomous vehicles are also easier to implement in areas with no snow. Snow and rain can obscure and confuse sensors, hide markings on the road, and make cars perform differently. In addition, AI programs trained to pick out cars and pedestrians in bright sunshine will struggle to make sense of vehicles topped with piles of snow and people bundled up under layers of clothing. Along with Tesla, there are major auto manufacturers and numerous startups, including Cruise, Waymo, and Voyage, all pursuing autonomous vehicles. The question is not if autonomous vehicles will dominate the auto market, but when. Let's move on to medical drones. Since the 1920s, airplanes and helicopters have been used to move patients to and from healthcare facilities and accident scenes, but their high cost and dependency on airports and landing sites has limited their use. Drones have many uses in healthcare, in medical care, search and rescue, and medical transport. Telecommunication drones are being used for medical diagnosis and treatment, perioperative evaluation, and telementoring in remote areas. They're also used to deliver medical supplies to remote regions, homes, and even boats. Not only does this assist patients with urgent needs, but it makes ongoing home delivery of healthcare less costly and more efficient. Drones are also reliable medical delivery platforms for microbiological and laboratory samples, pharmaceuticals, vaccines, blood, and emergency medical equipment. Drones are increasing the use and effectiveness of air medical services while reducing its costs and increasing HLE. Drone delivery of urgently needed medical equipment, such as defibrillators, and medicines, such as antibiotics and snake venom, is reducing the number of people that die from coronary disease, communicable diseases, and accidents. Drones can take off and land almost anywhere and can quickly deliver urgently needed supplies and medicines to patients. Their smaller size and the fact that they can be flown by a single person on the ground versus a pilot and medical staff and ground crews also dramatically reduces their cost versus larger medical aircraft. In 2019, a company called Zipline made the first commercial drone medical delivery and is now the world's largest drone medical delivery service. The company's drones carry up to 4 pounds of cargo, fly at up to 68 miles an hour in all weather, and have a round-trip range of about 99 miles. In Ghana, this has allowed deliveries that are faster, more scalable, less risky, and 40% less expensive than trucks. There's also a growing market for this outside of developing economies. CEO and co-founder Keller Renato says, "People think what we do is solving a developing economies problem, but critical access hospitals are closing at an alarming rate in the US too." The company is currently valued at $2.75 billion. Drones are also used in search and rescue, finding people in the woods and in water, and those impacted by natural disasters. In the US, in January 2021, the FAA authorized the first commercial smart drone flights. The FAA greenlit American Robotics to become the first company to operate smart drones without needing on-site pilots or spotters. The aircraft autonomously navigates its predetermined flight path with the help of an acoustic detection system to alert it to obstacles, such as birds or other drones, to avoid mid-air mishaps. In the future, drones could also deliver doctors to hard-to-reach locations or bring those needing emergency care to hospitals far more quickly than ambulances, enhancing the quality of urgent care and saving lives. Based on our research and advice of experts, we formed different assumptions about the advancement and adoption of autonomous vehicles and medical drones and incorporated them into the scenarios that were used to determine our forecast of HLE. In our next video, we'll start to examine how information technologies might impact HLE going forward. In the meantime, please hit the like button below, subscribe to the Human Life Expectancy channel to make sure you don't miss our next videos, and post comments for the topics you'd like to have us cover. Thanks for joining us. Till next time, as we say at Human Life Expectancy Inc., Hai Hua! Please, do what you can to help yourself and help us all to live longer.